Hello and welcome to the Joy of Upgrading webcast with our services team on how and why you should switch to the latest version of CA project and portfolio management. Lisa and Vip will take you through the business justification for moving to the latest version of CA PPM, and we'll discuss the 3 pillars of a successful upgrade, sharing real-life customer examples along the way. We'll cap it off with an overview of the resources that's available to make the upgrade a smooth journey for all parties involved. If you have any questions for the speakers, please enter them in the Q&A window at the bottom of your page. We will address them at the end of the webcast. And with that, I hand it off to Lisa and Viv. Take it away.
All right. Thanks, Alf. So I am Viv Mehrotra, Managing Consultant at SAS Services, and I will be talking about the upgrade itself. So the intention of my presentation today is to really focus on our experience. We'll be covering, some of those scars from the field, some of the things we've learned, and share that with you. It's more so that, you can hear our experience and kind of learn from that, as well as, talk about the different options that you have for upgrading, along with how we at SAS Services can help. So with that, let me move on to the very first reason of why really upgrade. As you all know that there is a end of life for most of the products. Ours, any customer that is on 13X, you've probably already received the information that we've stopped the support. What you see on the screen are the dates when the different versions were stopped. And for those that are on 14.1 and 14.2, the end of service for those are coming up fairly quickly. In general, the way we support our product is that we will keep GA and GA-2 in terms of service and keep providing patches and support. So obviously, from a support perspective, to get patches and to get fixes to any problems, it makes sense to move on to the new release. But that's just information that many of you might have been aware of, and this is something we do have published on our website. But let's talk about, what's the perception out there? What we hear from our customer, it's really, upgrade is a challenge. What we hear is upgrade is too much work to be done, and that there is really no strong compelling reason to move to the new version. Well, true, there is work to be done, but upgrade is something where, based on our experience, if planned well, is not a problem. It is something that, many customers have moved from major releases in a very short amount of time. It reports there was concern about just trying to use the new JasperSoft, the experience and so on, and what we found is that majority of our customers have started using it, and it's been a lot better since the original releases and versions. And the biggest reason for not moving to the latest release is what we've heard is that there really is no compelling reason. The UI is the same, the application is the same, all the way anywhere from 13.2 to 14X. And that is definitely something that our product management has heard and has taken to change that. So let's talk about why would you want to go to 15 from the perspective of what new items do you get with that. Of course, our product management heard from all our customers. It is the previous versions, okay, it was the UI was good, but now it's getting old. The information has to be available to it at a click of a button. We don't want too many clicks. We want to be able to work on it just like we work in Excel. They heard all of that information. They talked to several of our clients. They gathered the information and realized that we need to present information to our customers on a persona basis. We need to be able to present information based on the type of roles that they're working on and be able to give them the information right at their fingertips. Starting 15x, that is exactly what we've started doing. So that makes going to the newer release a lot more compelling. You have project-based personas where project managers, when logging in, will see the project information, the summary of their project in terms of tasks and so on, right away on the main screen. Right away, they'll get the information that is necessary to generate reports. They'll be able to track time, approve time in a lot more simpler way than before. And definitely the resource managers that are trying to figure out where there is resource demand and capacity, be able to look at it in a telescopic way, be able to just see at a grand scale, be able to narrow it down and see where there might be a demand not being met, and then address it right away. So definitely a lot of changes that have been made. So in regards to the functionality, we have addressed several of that. So there is now a reason, a compelling reason to go to 15x. But obviously there's still the idea out there that things can go wrong or upgrade is too hard. So let's talk a little bit about just our experience. For the purpose of discussion, we will be just talking about clients that we worked with. These are our actual experiences that we have gone through, and we want to share it with them, with you all, primarily to ensure that the experience that we have, it'll put everyone at ease that upgrade is possible, and what are some of the tips and gotchas that you should be aware that can make the process a lot more simpler. So the first one I wanted to cover, we had a customer, a financial services customer, that was upgrading from 13 to 14x. They had gone through various testing. They had documented a lot of their steps that they were going to perform during the upgrade weekend. But as they were performing the upgrade during the weekend, they kept running into several challenges. The upgrade kept on failing. Services was involved, and we had to get our support team involved to really go through the logs and understand what was causing the problem. The support team was able to analyze the log details, and we found that at a certain point there was a data update error that kept on happening, which was then preventing the upgrade to fail. We traced it back, and we noticed that there was a trigger on that specific table that was causing it to update. So there was a trigger, a database trigger that was put in for some functionality, which was then resulting in the upgrade to essentially keep failing because it was not able to make the changes that it was needed. In fact, this is one of the common things we run into in the field. Sorry about that for some technical difficulties. But as I was talking about that, one of the most common problems we run into during an upgrade for an on-premise customer is really related to some of the customization made, specifically triggers. The conception that as part of the upgrade, we do document that all the triggers should be removed from the system. Custom triggers that have been put into the system should be removed prior to the upgrade. Client in this case was aware, and they disabled the triggers instead of removing it, and during the upgrade somehow the trigger was still causing the upgrade to fail because it kept on being invoked. The fix was really to delete the trigger out of the system, run the upgrade, and then apply the trigger back on, and everything went smooth. So this is something that, from our experience, we've asked clients that if you have triggers in the system, the custom triggers in the system, highly recommend that you delete them, not just disable them prior to the upgrade. Another example, this is for a health insurance company that we worked with. They were going, again, from 13x to 14.3, and as they were performing the upgrade, they were also setting up JasperSoft, and they noticed that when they were running the load data warehouse job, it was taking an extreme long amount of time for the job to run, and this was causing for the data obviously not to be available in the data warehouse. Again, we got involved, we worked with the client to analyze the logs, and this is something we see that the customers seeing out there, where the data warehouse job might be taking too long, and they're not too sure how to debug or at least understand what's going on. The way we looked at this was on the PPM side, there are DWH tables that keep track of all the specific attributes and the objects that are going to be replicated to the data warehouse. On the data warehouse side, there are similar matching tables, the DWH config tables, config audit tables, which keeps track of the same items that are coming from PPM, and it keeps updating. So anytime you run the data warehouse load job, you will see that that specific table will be updated for each item as its data is being transferred over from PPM to DWH. We analyzed that table, and pretty much we ran the job, and we were keeping track in that table as to where specifically it is working on. And we noticed that at a specific lookup, it was constantly failing. We went ahead and analyzed the lookup and determined that the query in that lookup was incorrect, which is causing the job to pull large amount of data, hence it was extremely slow. We removed that lookup at least for that upgrade purpose, and the upgrade after then went ahead and the job completed successfully. So the tip here is really, if you are experiencing JasperSoft slowness, the first thing I would do is really look at those tables, the DWH config audit tables, which keeps track of exactly which item is being worked on and is being tracked in that table, so that you can then go back and analyze where the actual job is either taking time or possibly even failing. The next one I wanted to talk about was another financial company that was performing an upgrade, and just like any other financial company, they had large amount of data that they were performing an upgrade. They ran through various test cases. They ran through several iterations of performing an upgrade. However, at the time of the actual upgrade for production, it is noticed that the upgrade will reach a certain point, and would then fail. Obviously, we recommend go back to the original version and then start again after you've addressed the problem. The customer tried doing that once or twice, and it would still fail. Again, we worked with our support team, and the way Upgrade works, so if you are going from multiple, if you're going from a release X and that has multiple releases in between the starting release and your destination release, the way the upgrade works behind the scenes is the installation will have a folder for each specific release that it'll try to apply the changes for that specific interim release and then move on to the next one. Sometimes you would also notice that as it is applying those changes, those respective individual folders, the interim release folders, would keep track of all the installation log for that specific release. So the way it'll keep track is that there is one installation log on your main installation folder, and then the interim folders would have their own respective logs for that interim release that it is applying the changes for. In this specific case, we had to go down to each one of those specific folders, analyze the logs, and then we were able to pinpoint where the problem was. We then upgraded up to that release where it was being successful, addressed the problem, and then were able to continue. In this specific case, we had to work with the support team, so we did not modify any installation files by ourselves, but worked with the support team to address what was necessary so that the client did not have to keep going back from start and then go back again. We were able to get to the point where the problem was and address it at that point. The next one I wanted to talk about was another health service provider. In this case, our customer was not only upgrading their application, but was also moving to our SAS environment. This example is more to really cover that how important it is to have a good plan, and as well as make sure that you are not only accounting for the technical upgrade, but also accounting for OCM, Organizational Change Management, are accounting for a proper testing. Make sure you account for proper iterations. So when this customer was taking on such a large initiative to not only upgrade from their older release, and when I say older, they were moving from a fairly old release such as 12X and going to the latest 15X and migrating to the SAS environment, we had to ensure that the plan was accounting for each and every one of those components, as well as the plan for the actual upgrade was based on iterations of the previous testing. So before we even began the actual upgrade, a production copy was replicated in the lower environment, and upgrade steps were executed in there, and timing was determined to figure out as to how long would it really take when this is being done in the production environment itself. This is primarily to keep track of how long would the system be down, what all items need to be accomplished during the production itself. So having those multiple test runs, having those the full plan laid out as to what needs to be done, ensured that the actual production go live was successful and there was no problems encountered. The next one that I wanted to talk about was another financial institute. So this one was just another SAS upgrade, and this example is really not as to focus on problems or to focus on who was available, not available, but is really to focus on that when a client or customer is looking to go to the latest release, rest assured we are here to help. In this specific example, the customer had support from or had a contract with another vendor that was assisting them on doing the implementation and so on, but not as much as for the upgrade. So at the time when it was to go to the latest release, nobody was available, and we were able to reach out, or the customer actually reached out to us at that point. We were able to assist, make sure that the customer, during the upgrade point, their site was set as a hot site. So again, something, just a tip right there, if you are performing an upgrade to the latest release, you can notify our support team ahead of time, work with your account rep, and they can ensure that your account is set as a hot site, so that if there are any questions and issues that are encountered during the upgrade, our support team are able to jump on it right away and address it rather than waiting for a later time. So that's kind of what we did in this case, and the customer was able to successfully perform their upgrade. So those are just some of the examples of different types. Of course, I did not cover some of those that are related to, we also see there might be a product-related issues that we run into at some points, and we are aware that not everything is related to just customization, and there could be something that might be product-related. I'll throw a couple of examples out there. For example, there was a customer trying to perform an upgrade on SQL Server, and there was a problem with our check install, which kept on thinking that the customer was on an incorrect version. We realized that, we reviewed the check install file, worked with our support team, and were able to update it so that the installation would go ahead and execute. So there are cases that that we sometimes run into. Again, the key is going to be make sure you do enough dry runs in those cases so that situations like those are caught early. And if there is something like that, reach out to our support team, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to assist to address some of those problems. So the next item I wanted to cover is really, well, what are your options to upgrade? And it's really three pillars that we talk about. So customers that are on-premise, customers that have installed CA PPM in their infrastructure, how they can perform upgrades, some tips and tricks that they should be aware of as they are planning for the upgrade. The second one is our SAS customers who are planning for an upgrade and some of the things that they should be aware and how they can perform an upgrade. And the last that I wanted to talk is really our on-premise customers that can get an upgrade of their system to the latest version as they move to our SAS environment. So I would cover that step a little bit. So customers that are on-premise, essentially for them, if you are currently on 13.3, you can perform an upgrade directly to 15.2. Our installer essentially addresses all the interim releases that it has to go through between 13.3 to 15.2, but from your perspective, you just run the install file, and that'll take you through all of those steps to get to the latest release. So if you're anywhere between 13.3 to 14.4, you can just execute that, and it'll go ahead and update it. If you're prior to 13.3, you would have to first upgrade to 13.3 and then go to 15.2. So the chart right there kind of addresses the different interim steps that you would have to go to in order to get to the latest 15.3. We do have several upgrade installation steps documented in our DocOps location. We have several other options such as the express install. It is also important to obviously review our compatibility documentation to ensure that your infrastructure is up to date and it can is supported for the latest release of CA PPM. The other item that we highly recommend our customers to review is our change and impact guide that is in our DocOps, which talks about for each release what all changes have we done to the database components and anything else. So customers that have any integrations, customers that might even have their own customizations, what will be the impact to those specific integrations and customizations based on the changes we've done to our schema and anything else in the product. So what we've seen out there, I mean, a lot of it I just covered as the examples that I just went through. But our biggest challenge that we run into are related to just the customization done to the product itself. Now, of course, let me stop there and note that I do understand customers have customized the product for obtaining specific functionality that they need, and we've been involved with those, so it's something that I understand that is needed and is being done for a reason. So I'm not saying that never do that, but it's just something that from our experience and something that we've seen out there in the field is something that from an upgrade perspective has been the biggest challenge. And the key there is really that you should account for all the customization that is done, ensure that all of those customizations have been reviewed prior to the upgrade, and the change impact guide has been reviewed to ensure that what is going to be the impact to your customization when you perform the upgrade. Anything such as triggers or any other updates that you can remove before the upgrade would only make the upgrade process go smoother. So if there are any triggers and stuff, you should definitely delete those before the upgrade, and you can apply them back after the upgrade, ensuring that they will that they'll work with the latest changes. The other item that we've seen the biggest delay is in regards to the infrastructure. Clients and customers that wait for a long time to upgrade realize that the infrastructure that they have is no longer something supported, and they have to first upgrade their infrastructure before they can even upgrade the product. And trying to obtain, an infrastructure, getting the budget for that is not always the fastest thing to happen, and that's where majority of the delays that we've seen would come about, because you can't even get to the product upgrade till you upgrade the infrastructure, and that has its own upgrade challenges. So definitely, you'd want to plan for that and ensure that is addressed before you even get on to trying to upgrade PPM. Planning, I mean, obviously not enough can be said about the plan. And the plan should not be focused on just the technical upgrade. We have to account for, making sure the users of the system are up to speed and are ready to go and start using it. Otherwise, you will have adoption issues. You have to account for the size of the data because depending on the size of the data, that is how long an upgrade script could take in performing your actual upgrade itself. Also want to make sure that if you have any custom jars and stuff, so there are a couple of cases where we even had clients that that had deployed their own custom jars, essentially trying to obtain a functionality within PPM that was not already out there. So they would have these jars that will give them additional UI capabilities or interfaces directly in our library. And as part of the upgrade, obviously, we would replace our libraries and our folder with the with our latest version. So we highly recommend not deploying any of those custom libraries in our library folder. I mean, that is another one that we see quite a bit of issues related to that. Another example of those custom jar files that I've seen out there is it's caused multicasting issues, as well as it has caused, in some cases, our BG, our background process server to run for too long and has issues with that. So we've seen a lot of those random issues by just having some of those custom jar files out there. So just a quick recap of the same item. If you are upgrading an on-premise, make sure that you first refresh your lower environment with the production data so you can have a good understanding of the timing as well as any other issues that you might encounter ahead of time. Plan for training. Make sure you delete all the triggers prior to the upgrade and you can add it back on afterwards. Perform multiple upgrade testing, and definitely review the release notes for any product changes that can have an impact on your existing configuration. So let's talk about, you know, we understand that there might be many things that you can account for yourself, but at the end of the day, you know, our upgrade scripts are still the same, which you know, as they exist today, how they work on. But we have heard a lot of the feedback from our customers in regards to how the upgrade scripts could be made better. We've obtained information about, you know, we need better error handling. We need better way to display the errors to the users. It cannot just say a null pointer error, or it cannot just throw all the library files, but maybe give us a little bit more information. As well as if it fails at a certain point, figure out a way to continue from that point or whatever is the last good point. Our engineering team are reviewing all of these different ideas. Our engineering team is taking steps to incorporate as many of these as we can. So the upgrade process for our customer is then a lot more smoother and a lot more easy to perform rather than a technical challenge that nobody wants to take. So we definitely hear you, and there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel to ensure that you have a good experience and the upgrade is a lot more easier and smoother. So customers that are on-premise definitely have different challenges, but if you move to the SAS environment, now our software as a service offering, where you can have PPM hosted in our PPM in our SAS environment, there are several reasons. In fact, we've listed about top 10 of these reasons right here. But you know, there are definitely many reasons. Several of our clients have even done a ROI analysis as to what makes more sense for them to have it have the technical depth in-house, or just use the SAS environment where you can have the option to upgrade a lot faster, have the option to lower your cost and let CA do the maintenance of the application itself. Stronger security. I mean, we have large financial agencies, we have large government agencies, health insurance that reviewed our SAS environment, reviewed the security, reviewed all the compliance that is needed for them to be hosted, and went ahead, selected us, and are hosting or are using our SAS option. So definitely something to consider. And obviously the list kind of goes on, but again, what I wanted to focus on is our SAS environment is something that is available to all our customers, and once you are in the SAS, the upgrade is very smoother. So the upgrade, to perform an upgrade in the SAS environment, is as simple as just open a ticket with our support team. The SAS operations will pick that up and will then go ahead and upgrade. So you have the option when you want to upgrade, and the upgrade is as easy as opening a ticket, and we do all the work for you. If there is any problems, we address it. We handle all of that. All you need to account for is really, is there going to be any reporting change? And that's primarily for anyone that is going from Business Object to JasperSoft. If you're already in JasperSoft, then we address that also. Any organizational change management or any training to the users, those would be the only things that you would need to be concerned about. We address, we handle all the application software upgrades. The third option that you have is really customers that are on-premise, and those customers would want to move to our SAS environment, and as part of that, we will perform the upgrade for you. So if you are on-premise, you are on an older version, and you have your infrastructure is old, you can reach out to your your CA representative and talk to them about it, that okay, I don't want to handle all those technical depth. I want to get to a SAS environment where it is easy to upgrade. What's my option? And the way we handle it is really a 4-step process. Anybody that is looking to move to the SAS environment, we work with the client. We work to really understand how are they using the system today. We work towards understanding what all customization they have, and we perform an assessment. We understand as to what it would take for them to go to the SAS environment. Is there any customization that they have that will not be compatible or could have an issue with their upgrade? Any integrations that they have that could be impacted? We analyze all of that. We perform an assessment with the client, and then we provide them recommendations. What makes sense in terms of if you have customization that's going to be impacted by upgrades, we work with you to redesign it. If you have any database customizations, we work with you to make that into studio configuration. And once agreed, essentially we would have an agreement and we would perform the migration for you. The migration would then involve refactoring of the components. Any component that is non-SAS compatible, we will update that to be a functionality that could be done either through the studio or through our package work product, and we will perform the upgrade for you so that you would be now on the latest version of PPM, and then we will work with you to make it go live in our SAS environment. And from there, it is as simple as just opening a ticket for any future upgrades. as all the functionality would be upgrade compatible. And moving forward after that, we would then pretty much work with you for adoption and anything else that we can assist you with to ensure that the product is adopted and can be used by all your customers. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Lisa, who's going to talk about some of the tools that are available to you that you can obtain to get additional information regarding the upgrades. Lisa?
Thanks, Vip. Those were some great insights. So hopefully it clarified a lot of the issues that people may have around upgrading. So now that our participants have a better idea of what to expect, we do have quite a few resources available to you to help guide you through that decision. The first one is that if you are still in the research stage, we do have a position paper called 7 Strategies for Successful Upgrades. That is a very straightforward and practical read that has some realistic strategies that you can apply when you're making that decision or making that move. Second, as you're deciding, we have some additional resources here around the upgrade methodology that we use. And understanding that and realizing that that's been developed from extensive experience can help you ask the right questions along the way, whether you plan on doing that as a self-directed upgrade, one that you use a third-party provider, or whether you work with us here at CA Services. We also have videos, more step-by-step information, and some other short reads that you can use to help you with your decision. And finally, when you do your upgrade, make sure to review any of the CA Services upgrade offerings that we have out there that can give you a better idea of how you can make it easier to get through the process. So I know we want to leave plenty of time for Q&A at this point. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Alf and invite people to start entering their questions in the box on WebEx. And thanks again for your time today.
Great. Thank you both for presenting. It was great. I learned a lot. And there's been a few questions coming in as we've been talking here. A lot of them has to do with, one question that came in that was around on-premise to cloud migrations. And you mentioned that you take care of all the work. What about if you use a partner and they are hosting it for you? How do you go about working with them? Is CA involved in that, or is that solely in the hands of partners?
Yeah. So if this is related to a partner performing the hosting, I mean, we can work with you if that is something that you would like us to be involved. But if a partner is hosting it, then it would be, the partner assisting you doing that. If it is in regards to going from on-premise to SaaS and the partner is assisting you to remove or update any customization, then again it'll be the partner performing that work for you, and once they are done, our engineering team will review all those changes and then work with the SaaS to then put it out in the SaaS environment.
Great, great. Around the resources available to us, are there any documents or videos around end user training available to our customers, for them to see what the differences are specifically as you move up to a new version?
Yeah, so we do have training available that talks about the difference between the different releases, as well as you can reach out to to your CA rep, who can arrange for our team to do a specific demo for your team, where you can see exactly what is different, where are the additional functionality, and how you can benefit. So definitely we can just do that for you too.
Great. When you do an upgrade and there is a problem, some kind of error or so on, as you review the log files, there is seldom enough information there to figure out really what the problem is. Do you have any suggestions so a customer doesn't have to repeat the process and commit the same error again?
Yeah, I mean, as part of services, we've run into the similar situation. The key is to really analyze the two logs. And when I say two logs, the first log is the log that you have in the main installation folder, which is just called install.log. That log is supposed to be a summary of all the upgrade actions that are going on to take you from the current release to the latest release. However, sometimes that log might not capture all the information that is necessary to give you as to why an error occurred. So at that point, we also recommend to ensure and review the logs that are in the interim folders, because a couple of times at least we've seen where there were additional detail in the interim folder log files that had more information as to why an error occurred, so you can then address it accordingly.
Okay. In a short answer, because God knows we could have a whole webcast on this, but do you have any best practices for upgrading when you're already in a SAS environment?
When you're already in a SAS environment, I mean, it is definitely as easy as just opening a ticket, and we do all the technical work for you. Again, the key things to account for would be the training, to make sure that your users are up to date with the new functionality that they're going to be using. So account for that, as well as just make sure you have your test scripts that you can retest everything, performing a UAT for the functionalities that once the upgrade takes place, all your functionalities, are pretty much as is. So just having that plan accounted for helps, and then making sure that there is enough training and enough testing time in there.
Great. A lot of our customers are hovering around the 14 version, different variations of 14 version. So, for example, if you're on 14.2 and you are in a SAS environment, or no, what version do you suggest people move to? I would say move to the latest, 15.2, but I'll leave that in your hands. Where do you suggest people go?
Right. So what we've seen is twofold. Customers that are in something like 14.2 and are heavy using business objects, we've seen them go up to 14.3. Now, there's really not too much benefit out of that other than the fact that you have the option to run business object and Jaspersoft if you go to 14.3. But keep in mind 14.3 is going to be end of service pretty much end of this month. Anything after that, I would highly recommend going to 15.2, which is the most recent version, because that will cover all the changes as well as give you all the new functionality. So from the internal code-based perspective, other than fixes to the product, if you are using the old UI, there's not too much of a difference between 14.4 and 15.2, but we give you the new UI, the new UX, the new experience starting 15.1 onwards, and with 15.2, all the changes as well as the new UX is a strong, compelling reason to go to the newer version. The other myth just I wanted to clarify is that there is a perception out there that if I go to 15.2, I am forced to use the new UX, and maybe my users are not ready, or maybe I haven't trained or don't have the time to train everybody to use the new UX. I'd rather just wait for a later time. And the fact is that you don't have to force everybody to use the new UX. You still have the option to use the old UX even in 15.2, you have the option to control that you can go to the new UX or to the old UX even in 15.2. So you don't, if you want to go ahead and upgrade, you can upgrade and maybe train your users later and let them continue using the old UX.
That's great, yeah. And I want to bring to all the people attending today the attention that later this fall, we are releasing 15.3. And so with 15.2, you saw this new UX specifically around resource management and product management that's been extended into financial management as we go forward. Plus, there's other great stuff in there that I can't really share with you all, but it will make everybody's life much easier. So something to keep an eye on if you have a longer timeline in front of you. Well, that concludes today's webcast. Vib and Lisa, you did a great job. I really appreciate it. If anyone on this call wanted to have the presentation, it will be posted in communities later on. Hope to see you all next month. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.